Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg by Night podcast network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing Gaia of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warring forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take a final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Rock and never hide.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network. St. Petersburg by Night is an online World of Darkness role-playing community originated in St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and I will be your storyteller tonight. It's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa Bay, Florida. Going 2 years strong and counting, and we are so happy to be with you here as we are drawing nearer and nearer to the holiday season. You should go follow St. Pete by Night on all of that social media you see down below, and join our community by following the Discord link in the description, because you could join our community where we have games starting, on a pretty regular basis. And if you're interested in running a game, you have an opportunity to do that too, and potentially draw from a pool of 150 plus community members who may want to join your game. So join the St. Pete by Night community today. Now, let's go ahead and introduce our players. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Arriba, everybody. I'm Champ, Champagne, Dr. Finger, whatever you want to call me, and I will be playing Aspen Weiss by the Docks of the Silver Fangs.
Hello, I am Noree. I will be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow this up. Hi, I'm Preston. I play Jason Dreams-In-Decay, Thorne, Theurge of the Bone Gnawer.
I'm just waiting for the comments that could potentially come on this video from how unknowingly not problematic that is for those who don't know Champ. But anyway, let's get everyone caught up on what happened last week. First, we saw Jace enter into a dream state where he was encountered by the guide once more, the guide being this decayed, gnarled spirit of a werewolf that seems to visit Jace in dreams and at times in reality. And what was shown to Jace was a potential future that echoes moments from the past, where if vengeance is your purpose, your cause, your drive, you might not achieve the success you hope to achieve, and the effects to the world could be disastrous. Jace also got to learn a little bit more about the guide and the fact that they too were once a guru in the city of Tampa some time ago, and what their state was going into a very similar situation at the exact same location, Tiny Point. Then Jester went with Eliza to the flea market to visit the smith, a man named Caleb, who owns his own ironworks shop of sorts, and they had the spear forged that was necessary to defeat, or hopefully defeat, the Vined Monstrosity, the large creature that has been terrorizing the farmlands around Tampa and was responsible, at least partially, for the death of many changelings as well as the capture of others. Then Aspen went toe-to-toe with a representative of Ballard, Anderson, and Bateman by the name of Jeffrey Klein as she took Piney Point to court and was able to get their operations ceased. But at what cost, as she had to negotiate with Mr. Klein a further ceasefire of sorts that you wouldn't continue to inquire into the inspector who was used to sign off on several notable businesses that the vampires seemed to hold near and dear. And then in the second half, the hunt was on as the pack went looking for the Vined Monstrosity and then eventually encountered it in a very brutal and bloody battle. Luckily, the pack was successful in defeating the Vined Monstrosity. So as our story begins tonight, we find ourselves assembling at the cairn the next day. Pack. As you come together in the noonday sun, having slept in for some of you after the late night battle with the Vined Monstrosity, you can still feel the pains and aches from the night before. You can still feel the stinging sensation of those silvery barbs sticking into your skin as the monstrosity, in a completely unexpected way, grew vines that were similar to those of the grappling plants, the grappling bushes that you saw outside of the apartment complex. And when the monstrosity broke apart into the seven separate wolves, the barbs became their teeth. So every bite was painful. Every grapple was painful. But with a little bit of luck and a lot of teamwork, Jester was able to drive the iron spear into the core of the monstrosity, destroying it and dissipating it once and for all. So here we find ourselves midday the following day as everyone assembles at the hand-carved wooden table that sits beneath the killer tree with the clave mounted against it. In attendance, we find, of course, our pack, as well as Charles, Eliza, and for the first time, Lou. But there is a notable absence as Artie is not in attendance for the first time from a pack meeting in some months now. Pack, the scene is yours.
Aspen will be sitting in her familiar spot under the tree, waiting for everybody to assemble, kind of messing on her phone, but then putting it away and just tapping, waiting.
Larry stands near the table, looking about at all of the symbols with this somewhat brain-rattled look, as if he's trying to remember everything that Aspen has been drilling into his head over this past several weeks, and is reaching and grasping for the answer as to where the hell does he sit.
I'll just wink at him and nod my head to the right chair.
He gives a very grateful nod of his head and an exhale of breath as he finds the seat and awkwardly sits down upon it. You can see that Larry has been dressing a little bit more casually. For a while there, he was wearing mostly camping gear when he was staying at the cairn, but since returning home, he's gone back to his original style, and in fact, he is wearing his Howler's vest once more as he sits at the table.
Jester will walk in, most likely with Charles behind her, and just plop in her usual seat.
Jace will few steps behind them, rubbing his shoulder, really trying to stretch out the different areas of aches and pains, and finally make his way over to his chair and take a nice deep solid breath. I'm exhausted.
It was a big thing we did yesterday, but definitely worth it. First off, how's everybody doing?
I'm good.
Charles just gives a nod in recognition of the question without properly answering. You can see that on the side of his face is a small welt that still has yet to be healed from being tossed about by the larger monstrosity, and possibly from the initial car accident of driving the car into the monstrosity itself. Larry unknowingly looks around everyone, and Eliza goes to fuss over Charles, but he just waves her away. Does anyone want to tell me what happened last night?
Jester?
Okay, so there was this wolf, right? Huge, like bigger than a car, made of vines and plants. Has Aspen told you anything about the stuff going on with Piney Point?
And she's given me a rundown for the most part, as far as I can understand. There's some sort of spreading plant infection that is spreading across the area and infecting people, and I got that part. The wolf is a detail we kind of glazed over very quickly, but I think I understand.
Right. They're creating these things for nefarious purposes, whatever. But it was huge, and we finally had got a good weapon forged that we could kill it with, made of cold iron. So we went out, found it. Charles decided to crash his car into the wolf, which was very interesting, especially since all of us were like hopping out of the car as he's speeding up. And then we all changed into our war forms and started fighting it. Well, Jace kind of shot at it first, honestly. He was doing really good shooting at it. And first it was trying to, like, because it has this core that you had to stab to destroy it with the cold. I had to stab it with the cold iron to destroy it, but it's like hard to find in all the vines and stuff. And so we were digging when it was a giant wolf, and then it decided to split into 7 different wolves and attack us. And so we were all fighting it, and trying to find the core, because the core had to be in one of them. When we had narrowed it down, I think, to the ones that Charles had on him. it turned into a big wolf again. But they all held it down, and I managed to stab it deeply in its core and destroy it.
If I hadn't seen the strangest things over the past few weeks, I'd assume you were just recounting a really bad sci-fi fantasy novel. So is that normal? I mean, is that what you guys deal with on a regular basis?
I wouldn't say regular basis, but also it gets strange here. Absolutely.
What is normal
It's-
at this point?
I was gonna say it's been our normal for months now.
And you said you use a spear, and yeah, that the cold iron. Sure, what exactly the difference between cold and regular iron is, but apparently it's more rare. So you do use weapons still as Guru.
Oh yeah.
Like, I know about claves. We did a whole lesson on claves and their ritualistic use and how the silver, is meant to combat other Guru, but it's only usually saved for specific challenges or, hunting down rogue Guru. But you'll also use just guns and spears and other kind of weaponry too.
If that's what you're into, sure. Like if you're good with a gun or a spear, I can't say that I'm specifically well versed in any weapons. So I don't tend to use them, but it's an option. Charles over here, she points to Charles. He's, taught Jace everything he knows, which is still very little, but it's something.
Charles pipes up at this point and says, he's getting better. He deserves credit.
He did really well last night. Like, really well. He handled his own with 2 of them.
Oh no, absolutely, I agree. But I'm learning to speak rat, and if I didn't barb at him, then he wouldn't think that I enjoyed his
wouldn't-
company.
He wouldn't appreciate you. Yeah, okay.
He's
Yeah,
not
I get
wrong.
it.
Charles just gives Aspen a stare and a slow shake of his head disapprovingly. But you can see a little twinkle in the corner of his eye as he is bemused.
Oh, look to Larry. We're still human, like part human. We
Hmm,
still can
yeah.
use the tools that humans use. So
Just
yes.
Not sure why you would, when you could turn into basically a big indestructible war machine. It seems like that'd be a last case resort, I guess?
I mean, that's what I prefer, honestly. I didn't really like guns in the first place, so I don't use them now.
But it is an option when it's necessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tilt my head to Charles. He has a whole trunk of weapons, usually, when his car isn't in pieces in a field.
I think I'm going to end up calling you Pulp Fiction at some point, he says, looking towards Charles. Charles just deadpans him, and Larry quickly looks away. Okay. So, what kind of budget are you working with that you can just willy-nilly crash cars into big plant monsters, and how does that work?
I'll just point to Charles.
Our budget, when necessary, is adequate. Yep, that totally doesn't pop up any more questions, but good to know. Like I said, explains the project you have us working on, Jester, with the iron-tipped bullets back at the club. A lot of the guys were very confused at the concept and the necessity for it, but you know, when Bruce tells you to do something, you do it. Anyway,
Pretty much.
I'm sure this is like a formal meeting thing. Sorry to interrupt. Just mentioned last night, and I was just hanging out at home last night, so I didn't know what was going on. Aspen.
No, they're great questions to ask and to keep learning. There's a lot to learn, so I don't blame you. But yes, this is a formal meeting, so we do have to go over some things. We managed to get rid of the wolf, which is a really good blow to Piney Point and their operations, and very excited about that. But there still is the Vanessa of it all and creepy Fae god follower. I don't know. That is to be dealt with. I, as you guys know, have stopped production there for the time being so we can get a hold of the quote-unquote cure for the plant issue hopefully soon and move forward with that without any more fertilizer getting out.
Good job on that, by the way. Like, great job on that.
I
Way
appreciate
to take
that.
it to him, Doss. Well done.
Thanks.
Charles, at this point, speaks up. I've given the Hellhounds an assignment to intercept one of the last shipments that is expected to leave, as they're slowly dragging their feet about closing up operations before their deadline. They do have a couple more shipments scheduled out of Piney Point. I'm hoping that we can intercept the shipment that is expected to leave the state so that we can contain any spread from reaching other areas beyond our reach.
Good. That'll do great things. We don't need it spreading past where it's already gone and stopping anything from getting out while we're taking care of the rest of it is advantageous.
We have reason to believe, based off of their success in taking care of the infected leech, that if you destroy the source, the others will wither away, dissipate. Found that many of the hives that were created by the infected leech were destroyed very quickly after the leech was destroyed.
Okay, well, hopefully we don't have another one out there running around, but it sounds like it was taken care of. I'm sure if we did, you would know about it, Charles, you and Jester. So I'm confident that that part of things is taken care of.
Yes.
But we do have to speak on everything we need to prepare to really put this Piney Point situation to rest.
Well, I have some ideas about how to plan an assault. I have been looking at some satellite images of the location, trying to get as many fresh updates on the photography as possible to see what or how the facility has changed. But I believe our best plan of attack is a two-pronged attack. With the Hellhounds in tow, we enter into the greenhouse, which I believe is their staging ground for many of their operations. They have some windowless laboratories, it seems, based off of the ventilation to the back of the greenhouse, behind it. If there was any place that I would consider the most secure at the facility, it would be there.
Okay, and if I can get the petition running quicker, which it seems to be going well so far, I can get a film crew in there to kind of do some digging, to ask some questions, and we can get a better idea of what's in there. I'm sure they'd cover up anything they don't want readily seen, but we can get an inside look of what's going on inside the facility.
What's our timeline? Like, how long is this gonna be? We're gonna have this opening.
45 days.
Okay.
How is the film crew going to be protected against the plants that will probably be around the facility and in the greenhouse? Because, I mean, from what I understand of film crews, they don't film live. They'd be like taping stuff. So if they got infected, she could easily have them erase those tapes once they're under her control.
That is a possibility. I'm hoping that and this is all just assumptions, that they are going to be under the guise of everything on the up and up. So having a film crew not come back with eyes on it would be, well, more eyes on it. And I think that's something they wouldn't want to happen. But I'm open to having ideas for security and for more protection while they go in.
Perhaps some preparation for the film crew in advance of their arrival. Minimal exposed skin, letting them know about the potential biological hazards that could be within. This could cause them to wear face masks. There are plenty of those readily available. Keep them from inhaling any spores if they were to encounter any. Stressing the very dangerous nature of the assignment in advance. At least that is a safeguard.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. We're not going to be able to go in because we can't be connected to them. But I guess, yeah, stressing that they're going to a hazardous place, and most likely the people there will try to lie to them to make it seem like it's safe.
We also have the option of maybe with your help, Jester, not exactly, with your tags, but with some social media, having that thrown out there that they're going to go in. So if they do go missing, it would look really suspicious on their side.
Yeah, I could do that.
As hesitant as I am to suggest it, might not also be a bad idea to have someone more knowledgeable escort the film crew in case they notice anything that could be potentially hazardous in advance. They can help them avoid it.
Who are we thinking? We have a couple of options.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Jace could potentially go undercover. He has the look of someone who works in film crews. You could go as the lawyer that is actively investigating, although I very much suggest against it. Or we could send one of the pups.
We also have the option of She Who Shines, if she'd be willing, or I wouldn't want to send Bruce, even though he has an idea of what's going on. I feel like that would be dangerous on his side. I think as far as people that I feel confident know what they're going into, another option is She Who Shines.
Possibly. She doesn't know all of the plants, though, so we'd have to get her caught up on all the plants and what dangers they pose.
There's also the possibility of Arthur, as he is technologically aware, getting him early access to the spirits that inhabit their technology, their cameras, their databases. If he can get early access, perhaps that can work to our advantage. Speaking of which, he looks around the table.
He is currently resting with all the work he's had to do. He's getting some much needed sleep.
Understood.
But I could ask him, but I did want to leave it up to Jace, because he would be my first option as far as that goes.
I can go in, but having Artie, like, that was a good idea. I can connect with some of the spirits there, but he has a way with those particular ones. He can go in and I can keep an eye out. I can watch over the entire thing. I can connect to Artie and be able to, he can speak with me and keep an eye on things as he walks through.
You've always been a fan of the buddy system.
I mean, it might be a good idea to have them both. Jace to protect from how many ever Banes are going to be there. Or what else is going to be there spiritual-wise.
Aspen pauses, just kind of nods, looking down at the table. I'll ask him. I'll see if he's up to it.
Look to Aspen for a moment. So, on the other side, is there anything we can do to help Artie? I know he has a lot on his plate.
He's been working on things when he can, and he's finally getting the rest that he needs. I just know that he needs the rest, so I don't want to put more on him if it's not necessary, just because he's been working on finding that cure for the plant situation and doing all the technology side that none of us can really do. But so I don't want to put another thing on his plate, but he's got it handled.
Okay.
At this point, Eliza looks towards Aspen. If you ever need me to check in on him, I can.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I know he's been super busy, so I'm glad he's getting some rest. But, like, if either of you need help, just let me know.
Absolutely. And I'll send the message to him. I know with him being so busy. I'm sure when he's rested and comfortable, he'll definitely reach out.
Of course, Eliza says with a pacified smile. What's next? Charles asks.
Well, the next thing as far as Piney Point that I can think of is getting supplies to Spud to have him work through this cure. I know Artie's working on it as well, but having it on both sides is really beneficial. I've recently got a contact within the university, so we have access to more than we did before.
Took a good amount of our iron resources to craft the spear. That, as well as what was already given over to Spud, we're running low.
Yes, and I will be taking care of that soon. I have plans to interact with Bateman in the future, in the very, very coming future, and to have that treaty official and, well, I guess stamped, as you could say. But I just want to tie up a few loose ends before I do it.
I know it's an inopportune time, but I also wished to request a few days' leave as I need to make a trip north for a couple of days over the holidays.
Of course, if you need to take a trip, we can hold down the fort here. We're all capable, and we have the pups. If they can pick up the slack around the bond.
You'll barely notice I'm gone. Overnight at best.
Kind of a big presence to miss, so I think we'll notice you're gone. But
I'm back with a different suit.
If it's not broke, why fix it?
We talked about it. It's hideous. That's why.
No accounting for taste.
Are you needing to be accompanied on the trip, just to be safe?
There shouldn't be a need. It is not a particularly dangerous endeavor. It is a tradition this time of year.
Okay, so personal matter. That's
Yes.
I won't pry.
Jester,
Oh, but
I'll be playing with the table, glance at Charles, knowing what he's asking for, but then take a deep sigh. Speaking of trips, I got in contact with the Sept in West Virginia. They are, I've narrowed down where I think the White Bat Spirit is, which is a place close to them they call the Shrieking Cave. And they have invited me to come and speak with them to get permission to go to the cave. So I am going to need to make a trip to West Virginia with Xander. I also talked to them about what happened in the mines in Michigan. And they want to hear more about that. So talked to Stakes and gotten her side of the story. I'm going to talk to Shawn soon. And get his. Hopefully, maybe talk him into going with me as well. At least to give a first-hand account.
Is this absolutely necessary?
Yes. I don't think Xander can. I think Xander needs this to get better. And he'll become more and more of a liability, I think, the longer we let this sit.
The last time we pursued anything having to do with Xander, we were gone for several days in the deep Umbra.
Yes. I was. But now this is being planned. You know where I'm going to be. That's why I'm bringing it up now and not at the last minute where, one of our pack mates was kidnapped and it couldn't really sit and discuss in a committee.
Are you planning to take Xander with you then?
I think I have to.
Makes sense.
I think it would be best, for security's sake, that she has an escort this time. Not to say that Jace wasn't perfectly capable the last time, but a place called the Shrieking Cave doesn't give me much confidence.
Oh, but Charles, I'm sure they have Arun and people capable up in Virginia, don't they? Don't they, Jester?
I mean, Mountain Claw seemed perfectly capable when we last met him. And, I'm pretty sure that the Sept is larger than that to have some capable Aruns to handle it. And, we would be... If you came with me, that would leave the Sept open at a critical moment since we just defeated their wolf and they might try to retaliate.
And really, this has to do with spirits, so maybe Jace should be the one going with. Well, you do have Shawn, if you take Shawn with you for the account. But 2, when dealing with spirits, I think is actually a lot more necessary.
Well, I'm sure the West Virginia Sept has a rune. If they were capable, the problem would have been solved already, don't you think?
Charles,
They
you're
have
absolutely going to go with Jester. Not only for security purposes, but because you would drive me absolutely batshit. Get it? Being here with her gone.
Charles stifles a roll of his eyes at the batshit comment, but nods. Glad we have an understanding. And like you said, there are plenty of Gru here who should be able to handle my absence. He gives Jester a long look.
Jester will try to put a very annoyed look, like huff and crossing her arms when, like, secret or deep down, she's actually happy he's going because she hates to be apart from him as much as he hates it. So
Good. Then we will, as expeditiously as possible, see to this bat issue.
I was also going to bring your petition up to see if we can get some signatures from them as well. I talked to Trillium about it. So hopefully it goes well.
Oh, that would be great. Absolutely.
So, aside from Piney Point and now Morgantown, what else do we have?
Well, I guess I'll open that up to everyone. You've talked about the Hellhounds, and we have Jester and Xander going to Virginia with Charles. Jace, was there anything you wanted to bring to the table?
Yeah, you brought up us maintaining the bond. I don't know if it's been brought up or if Eliza kind of caught you guys up to speed with the ongoing issue on the edge of the bond. He'll look towards Eliza to see if she's brokered the conversation at all with them.
We have some encroaching Banes coming into the area. They're being drawn here for one reason or another, possibly even sent here, as Jester had alluded to. The one we encountered most recently was a Bane of Addiction, seems, and due to at least one of the residents of the cairn, I believe it's calling to them. And I know that efforts are being made to stave off these issues and to deal with them, but that does not keep a Bane from being more persistent. If anything, it encourages them to do so. When they are not satiated, that is when they are most dangerous. Now, I believe I have a plan that could deal with this. If we were to bring someone that the Bane is interested in to the location, I think Jace and I could perform a rite that should banish the Bane back to the spirit wilds, at least for a while, and cleanse the area of their presence.
Perfect. I mean, I know Delphine has her struggles, but she seems to be doing, based off of her information given to me, doing better.
Charles gives a nod. Doing well.
The different things we've been doing around the area are band-aids at best, though. To actually take care of the issue, we need to eradicate the bane, at least push it away. And like Elijah said, we can't do that without someone with the affliction.
There are other possibilities as well beyond that. There has been an increase in anger as well within the cairn. Now, this is not unexpected considering the circumstances that we've been under, but many of our cairn's residents have experienced a great deal of loss recently. I believe this could be attributing to the collection of banes as well, as banes of grief and anger, fear and rage are being drawn here also. I think a large enough rite with enough participants being afflicted by these issues could see to the bond for a while, reinforce the spirits that are protecting it, as they have been having to dedicate a great deal of their efforts to fending off these encroaching banes from entering into the cairn itself.
Okay, is that something that you and Jace could prepare for?
Certainly. I've already been in the process of erecting the necessary shrines and talismans that should be able to ward off the area for some time after the rite is performed. Just wish to keep you informed.
Is that something that we could postpone until after Piney Point, or do you think that the Bane situation would become a problem during that time?
It's possible. However, what I fear is with the destruction of Piney Point, whatever spiritual resources they have been using could be set free, released, and we may find ourselves quickly overwhelmed by their presence. That's not for sure, merely an estimate, as we haven't really been able to get a good idea of what is existing around Piney Point, but I can tell you from previous experience, it was bad before, and that was a completely different beast than we're dealing with now. But again, it's possible. I just think some preventative measures would be nice, and I can work on those with Jace and Delphine as well to help reinforce the spirits here, to prepare them for a possible flood spiritual energy following Piney Point. But as far as a long-term solution, I think it can wait.
Nothing against Liza. I don't think it can. The current issues that are outstanding right now, yeah, we might face a flood, but we might be already in the midst of that already. And if that does break wind and that comes through, those additional things along the side might not be helpful. We might be trying to sandbag when the flood's already here.
Eliza gets a smile on her face and lets off a soft chuckle. Now, I was just trying to be polite, keep our Sept leader from having an aneurysm as if she doesn't have enough on her plate, but Jace is very much accurate in his assessment. There are band-aids that we could put on, as he so put it, but I can't predict what's coming. And if we aren't ready for it, if we don't have the right protections in place, even one missing spot, one gap, this place could change dramatically if it is not tended to.
Okay. Jace. She'll kind of just have a piercing gaze. How much do you have going on right now?
My hands are full, but there's room.
Doesn't answer my question. How much do you have going on right now?
Well, with the bunker no longer needing to be tended to, I have an opening. Along with just the maintenance of the care and keeping things going here, Eliza's been helpful, and as well Delphine. And then just making bridges with the ratkin. Like I said, I can take on more.
Okay, then take lead on this right with Eliza. And I'd like to speak about some other things I need your help with later.
Okay.
Speaking of the ratkin, they said something the other night, Jace, that if you could follow up on, that would be great. They said a lot of things, but something that's been bugging me in the back of my head, they asked me if I wanted to know who knew about the Karen. They're going to want something for the information, and it might be nothing, but might be good to follow up on.
Okay. Was it Skeeter?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have good rapport with him. I'll see what I can wiggle out.
To that point, quickly, I've actually met, I believe, Silent Strider. Her name is Suni from Arizona. She's been around. I officially introduced myself the other day. She seems nice enough. She likes her secrets like you. She probably should be a Bone Gnawer, really. But she seemed nice enough. She seemed interested in what we're doing here. So if Skeeter says anything to that, she also has a companion that she traveled with. So those two I'm already aware of and shouldn't be too much of an issue, but I'll keep an eye.
Eliza speaks up. With the ever-growing presence of Farah coming to the area, drawn by the spiritual energies of this place since its opening, it could be that they're referring to that primarily, but this place is a spiritual beacon. It is unlike most cans that can go without notice. This place will be noticed more and more. Even I don't know what it's completely capable of and how far it reaches. So that information would be useful.
Yeah, I'll see what I can get out of him. With Skeeter, also more of the ratkin are showing up into the little back area of the bar. With them, I'm picking up on where when you see one, there's probably another 4, meaning that there's at least 1.5 to 2 dozen ratkin in the city. There's one, I think I told you all, there's one guy who's kind of in charge, their big dad, their papa in a sense. He doesn't really leave their area. I'll try and get more exact, he'll look towards Charles, I'll try to get exact numbers as soon as I can. I know that it's ballparked.
Try and get eyes on their leader as well.
I'm trying to set
Can't
up a meeting.
arrange a meet. At least get eyes on them. While they have been not problematic so far, if they are growing a power base here, they need just one moment of weakness to shift the control of this area. And much like the other Pharaoh, they have plenty of cause for complaint against the Guru.
Also, keep me up to date, please.
Of course.
Other thing on the agenda is Alice and her people and what information we can get for them. Because I think they will be more than just wanting to get their people back because it's terrible what's happened. I think there's also the added benefit that they would be really beneficial in this Piney Point situation.
I've been keeping eyes on human news outlets since we know of their entanglement with these absences. It seems that their forces are being stalled more and more and getting wrapped more and more in litigation, and the government is finally taking a stand against some of the goings-on that have been happening as of late. This could work to our benefit, as it will make them have to be more discreet or cease operations altogether. It's just a manner of tracking down where they were taken.
Okay. I think Jace and I can work on that while you all are up in Virginia, West Virginia, and see what we can come up with and how we can help on that side.
Be careful. There are plenty of entities, organizations, agencies that would take a great interest in, well, to put it plainly, human trafficking. So just keep your heads on a swivel and don't get in more than you can handle. Information is better than nothing.
At the very least, we can get the information and Alice and her people can do what they need to do.
Agreed.
Was there any other business from the pack?
The Hellhounds are going to be likely tending to a matter, a personal matter, that the pack is dealing with internally. I have eyes on the situation, but I am letting them handle it themselves, as I believe that they are earning more and more independence with their successes and actions. I'll keep you up to date, as is relevant.
I appreciate that. Or letting Jace know to keep an eye on it while your absence is handled.
Indeed. I'll let you know.
Perfect.
I did have a get together. Forge is wanting in the circle a little bit more. He's wanting to know our goings on about different things. I kept him in the dark, but he's wanting to tag along on different things. I told him he needs to prove himself before I would even take him on. Is that something that we want to do, or should I just stonewall him and keep him out?
In what ways is he wanting to be in this? He's part of the Sept, and I'm confused.
He was inquiring about different things that were going on that we're having to deal with, instead of adding more to his conscience. I didn't tell him about everything that we are currently doing. He wants to know about everything that's going on. He was saying that he's the last to know about it. He's also wanting to come along different little expeditions, little things. When I do my treks around the city, he wants to tag along and be part of that.
If you see it necessary, then if he wants bonding with one of the elders, I see no issue with that. But priority of what the pack can handle, the pups can handle, goes to Charles. Charles has dealt with them the longest, and he knows what they can and can't endure. So whatever Charles sees fit for them to know, I think he would tell them.
I don't believe it would hurt to have him accompany an elder to see how the elder guru handle matters and their decorum. But before more access is granted, I believe I'd like to see the outcome of this internal issue they're dealing with, as he was a contributing factor to that issue.
Also, just to keep in mind, the bonding is good, but he has recently lost someone, and another person was hurt, and he's got a lot of anger surrounding that. So the person he lost was connected to Piney Point, so this could also be him trying to get more information about that.
As you mention an individual being hurt, Larry's demeanor changes, his gaze dropping from everyone at the circle to the table as he slumps a little bit back in his chair.
So I think bonding is good, but in that regard, having people seeing elders. But I think as far as information, we leave that to Charles to have information given. Any sort of interactions you have with him is to have maybe more of a Bone Gnawer bonding.
Eliza speaks up. To his credit, he has been seeking counsel and solutions to the variety of feelings he's having as of late. I do agree with the assessment that bonding would be good, showing other ways to handle situations, giving other examples, as they have a checkered history with their former sept as well as amidst themselves as how issues should be dealt with. But I do want to give credit where credit is due. He did come speak to me recently about some of the struggles he's been having, and I believe he left better informed and more open to other options than violence.
If anything, I can reach out, keep an eye on him, make sure that things aren't creeping in.
I think giving him a focus or a project would help as well. So if there's anything that you can unload amidst your rodent brethren business, I think that he would be worthy of a task, an assignment, a focus. I think that would benefit him greatly.
I'll start with him as like a gopher and see how he does.
Charles says, I believe this shipment interception could also assist in that.
Absolutely. And I'll kind of keep looking towards Larry until I can catch his eye, and I'll just give him a soft smile and a nod.
He returns the smile, albeit weaker than yours, but he has a a kind of small glisten to his eyes, not to the point of tearing up or anything, but enough to notice that that comment unintentionally cut something in him, reminding him of his first change.
If you're going to be seeing Bateman soon, do you believe you'll be coming back with Mia?
That is one of my biggest priorities, other than the iron. That's something I want to make happen. Something I'm going to make happen.
Where are we going to put her? She's been with Bateman for 2 years, and Leon was not with him for that long, and I saw the damage that Bateman did to him. She's not going to be perfectly well when you get her. Taking her here would probably be a liability to us, and we have a lot already.
I agree. I will say that when I saw her last, she wasn't in the same state, wasn't how Leon was when we saw him. So it is a little bit different. I'm hopeful that there won't be the added feelings to that. But I do understand that just being in his presence and being around him is going to be difficult for her to come out of.
Charles says, I know this opinion might bring mixed feelings. And he looks to Jester. If you take away one of his access to vulnerabilities, he may shift his focus to another.
What do you mean?
He's talking about my mother.
Bateman has had this fascination ever since their first encounter, and has clearly made efforts to find weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Mia was one. Jester's mother is another. He's had Mia close and has been openly taunting with her. Whereas it seems, as far as I understand, her mother has been more of a backup plan from the looks of it. I worry, or I'm concerned that if you take away Mia, he will shift his focus. Something to consider. I believe the best option is to get them both free, of course. But considering the timing of things and that there isn't a lot of pressure on the leeches right now, nothing setting them on their back heels, that just gives them more time to plot and plan and put pieces into place for when the truce inevitably falls.
Jester, I know you weren't particularly ready for dealings with your mom. I could find ways to have her transferred, to have her put somewhere until you are ready for that conversation, but at least we'll have an eye on her.
I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, I could do that.
As far as where to place Mia once she is freed, Eliza says, I have a couple of suggestions or possibilities. One, of course, there's Chloe. Chloe has been educated quite a great deal. That seems like an obvious no to you.
Not until I'd like to know what Mia's mental state is before bringing her Chloe to her or her to Chloe.
Understood. The other possibility is Alice. We are able to complete this task for her, get her back on a less vindictive streak. As much as there is potential for future problems in doing so, there's also the possibility that maybe it'll do some good. If Alice makes her aware of what was done to her, it could give her cause to release certain bits of information as to the goings-on of the leeches. I mean, she has been in their inner circle for several years now. Perhaps she can at least supply some information to Alice.
What about Bruce? What about the bikers? I mean, in my opinion, Bruce has a good idea of that situation, and the rest of the bikers, without knowing, seem to follow Bruce pretty well. What if they all kind of kept an eye on her? And they're pretty big, pretty burly people. I think if anything goes haywire, they could at least take good care of her until we are able to check in.
It's possible. Could do that. I had thought of Alice until Alice had been the biggest idea I had, because Alice had claimed that she might be able to help the mental fuckery that reverse the mental fuckery that could have been done on her. But after the attack on their church, I wasn't sure how well or capable they are of taking someone in.
I would say, based off of their dedication to getting their people back, anybody they take in will be treated as family and will be seen to. Now, that's not to say they'll agree to this at all, because they may consider it a potential liability, but I think it's worth the conversation at the very least. What I've been told of Alice and the ministries, they have always been dedicated to making the world a better place for the people affected by it. And there's no one more affected at this moment than Mia, at least by the leeches specifically. As you're all considering this, I'd like everyone to make me a wits and awareness check, please.
Rage 1.
Page 1. Off in the distance, beyond the trees, you hear a whistle, like one of those sharp, loud whistles that someone makes by putting two fingers to their lips. And it's not alarming in its intent. In fact, make a wits and insight if you want to try and learn more about what is behind that whistle. Yeah. So Aspen specifically, the whistle sounds more like a signal call, alerting, hiding individuals to an approaching presence who is aware that there are hiding individuals, or might be trying to alert them in advance of their approach without just shouting out, hey, giving away anything.
So it's off in the trees.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stand up and cautiously kind of move and see what I can find.
Yeah. As you look into the trees at the edge of the cairn, a figure comes into view, stepping around some trees. She's wearing hiking boots and short plaid shorts, a button-up shirt that is tied off over a crop top. Her turquoise jewelry jingles slightly off of her wrists as she looks around at the trees up above, a wide smile on her face, a glint in her eye as she takes in the surroundings. Nice place you have here.
We enjoy it, yes.
Sorry, I didn't want to intrude the whistle, but since there's no real gathering places for us around here, I thought the best thing to do would be to seek out the nearest one.
No, please come. You can meet the rest of the pack.
So as Suni enters into their surroundings, you see a tan-skinned, dark-haired woman. Her hair is wild and free, falling to her shoulders, held back by a handkerchief that is tied around her head. Hello, everyone. I hope I didn't interrupt anything.
This is Suni that I was telling you about that I've met recently. This is Jace. This is Jester. That's Eliza, and that's Charles, and this is Larry right here.
Hey, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm just in town for a short bit, but Aspen was nice enough to introduce herself and welcome me to the city, so I thought, why not introduce myself to everyone else as well, so nobody had any reasons to worry.
Is your companion with you today?
No, he's still feeling very antisocial. But he'll come around, I'm sure.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure is mine. As Aspen said, I'm Suni and I come from Arizona.
I'm Malicious Jester. Jester to everybody, pretty much now. Usually from Colorado, now here.
I love that name, Jester.
Thanks.
Did you pick it yourself, or was it granted to you?
It was granted to me by my old galliard in Colorado.
It seems suiting. Sorry, Jace, go ahead.
You're good. Jace will stand up and reach his hand out. Dreams-In-Decay.
She approaches the table and offers out a hand, and you can see that her fingernails are also painted turquoise as she gives your hand a shake. Your name is especially intriguing. So, does the decay happen in your dreams, or are you like dreaming of decay? Because the second one is a little bit more problematic. Like, are you hoping for decay in your dreams, or is it that it just kind of gets in there?
No, my dreams are of decay, of usually of things that could transpire, have transpired, or are transpiring. They're a sense of a warning system.
That makes sense. More like premonitions or visions of the future. Well, hopefully we can clear up some of that decay before it's too late.
From what I've seen, I hope so.
Well, again, forgive me for intruding, and I'd be deceiving you if I didn't say that I overheard a little bit before coming here. You always got to keep your senses on alert when you're out in the middle of nowhere, approaching unknown territory. It actually helped me know that I was in the right spot, to be completely honest, once I heard Aspen speak. But, is there anything I can do to help?
I'd like to roll insight.
Sure.
Very few Garu connected to people we have intentionally either been brought by people we know or people we've brought down have actually showed up here. Tampa is usually known as the don't go to
Mm-hmm.
area, so someone just randomly coming in seems a little weird. So I'm
Sure.
looking into more like a vibe of her intentions, kind of. Not like, is she lying? Just like,
No, yeah, you want to get a general vibe check of her mood, her overall feel. Yeah, I get that.
I got 2 successes.
What you're getting off of her primarily is curiosity.
Okay.
But there doesn't seem to be ill intent, as far as you can tell.
All right. So I could just chalk her up to being a nosy silent strider.
Basically, yeah.
Sometimes they're nosy. She might be a Galliard. Not
I mean,
gonna lie.
that's also their job too, is to take information and bring it to various places all over the world. So if anyone was going to start potentially poking at the new nation, Florida, the Silent Striders would probably be the first
Right.
to make an
It's
appearance.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It's just after hearing about hearing from Stakes, her tale, and mentioning of Rick infiltrating and what happened in Michigan, I'm a little on edge on things. So
100%. That is absolutely reasonable. But yeah, all you're getting is curiosity and fascination.
cool.
As I said, is there anything I can do to help? It sounds like you all have your hands full.
Well, how much did you hear, Sudi?
Well, I did come in at the mention of someone named Mia. That's where I started to pick up conversation.
Okay. Mia is Jester's friend.
Another guru?
No, before everything, she didn't know anything about us or vampires. She's mortal. She's a human. But she got taken by a vampire in the city as leverage against us. I think he's also been looking to Aspen, using her as food, and I think he's mentally screwed her head up. No, I know he started to mentally screw her head up because he had her believing things that weren't true. And that was 2 years ago.
So she's been in their possession for 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, that is a sticky situation, to say the least. But maybe I can help with some insight. I've been a lot of places, seen a lot of faces, and learned quite a great deal about our pointy-toothed corpses that tend to populate the metropolis areas. Assuming that she hasn't been turned into one of them or enthralled by one of them, there are other potential issues, one being mental manipulation, as you said. The other thing is, from what I've come to understand, their bite can be a pleasurable experience to humans. I don't know how that's even remotely possible. Anything that's ever bitten me has been less than pleasurable. Well, all right, maybe sometimes, but that's with consent. Regardless, it is something in their venom It's what helps disguise people who've been attacked by vampires because they don't remember the experience or they find it euphoric in some fashion. So euphoric, in fact, that it becomes an addiction to some of them. They want that sensation. They crave that sensation. Not to the same degree as their thralls who are addicted to their blood, but to that overwhelmingly almost orgasmic sensation that they can get from being fed upon. I know, it's gross. So, not saying that this is the case, but aside from the mental fuckery, there could be also a craving need to return to that euphoric state. They call them blood dolls. Basically, blood prostitutes. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with your friend, but if it is, it's going to be a habit that's hard to break. Not impossible by any means, but something to be on the lookout for.
Thanks for letting us know.
I found that the best thing to do in those cases is to get them as far away from the solution as possible, from their addiction, from their one stomator.
Far away as in out of the city far away?
Usually,
Or
remote locations are good. You know, places like different countries, or at least away from major cities. Leeches don't tend to congregate in country towns or cabins in the middle of the woods. Most of them prefer the metropolis where people are in vast amounts. Eventually, the memory of that euphoria fades.
Hey, Jester.
yeah.
I maybe could send her somewhere.
Be interested in hearing more.
I have she's kind of like a second mom to me. She's always really open to helping, and she's far enough away to where she could maybe help her, get her some help. She's always been the helpful type, and it's probably a good time I talk to her and have a conversation. I think she'd be the most willing to help, honestly.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. If you're willing to. I mean, it might put her in danger. There's that possibility.
I know, but she's the best person I know for anyone who needs help.
Okay.
Now, this isn't to say she couldn't return. Obviously, if you prefer keeping her close and knowing about her whereabouts and goings on, she just needs a little bit of time away from it to distance herself, to let the mind fog clear.
Look to Charles. I don't know. What do you think?
Charles has been staring at Suni the entire time with a very deep-set frown on his face as his security was breached yet again by a stranger who has come wandering into the cairn uninvited. Makes sense. Send her away is for the best, because, as I said, Bateman is going to be using all of the pieces possible to make sure that when that truce falls, he's ready and is already set up for a checkmate.
Okay. Then I looked to Aspen. Yeah, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll make sure that everything's set up before I even see Bateman, and that way we know that everything is good for her. I want her to be okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, as all this is going on, Larry has been also looking at Suni, but with the exact opposite look of Charles. His jaw is slightly open, his eyes are a little bit wider. Suni just smiles and nods. As for your other issue, that if she were to be absconded with, it sounded like that there was a risk of another problem. I'm sorry, if I'm prying, I promise I will zip my lip and get out of your way. But I'm here to help while I'm here.
You're speaking of the conversation we had about Alice?
Well, I didn't hear anything about that, but I'm vastly interested. I heard that no one wants as a solution to the Mia of it all, but no, I was talking about something about a mother.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Again, if I'm prying, I apologize. It's just second nature these days to always be alert and take in whatever you learn.
Let's just say that the particular vampire that has my friend Mia is really obsessed with making my life shit.
Oof. Well, I'm sorry for that. When they get a target in their sights, it becomes like an obsession to them.
I've noticed.
Well, the best thing to do is get rid of the hunter. And there's no targets for them to have. But if that isn't an immediate possibility, as I'm hearing talks of truces, distractions also help.
This particular one is a little hard to get to.
Nobody, Jester, is too hard to get to. Just gotta know the right way to get to them.
Then we haven't found that right way yet.
This, when you speak of Bateman, what can you tell me about him?
He's kind of taken over from what it sounds like. He has ways of getting into your head. He likes to play with the ones people care about, but that seems to be kind of
That's par for the
overarching.
course. That's, yeah, all leeches love that, but
He's a lawyer. He lives in a high tower that we can't get to.
okay. That is extremely valuable information. and using that information, you may have already stumbled upon one of those access points. What is it about Mia that makes her more special than anyone else? I mean, if they wanted to take people into their possession, they have plenty of possibilities, but they wouldn't keep them close unless they had something about them that made them valuable. If what you're describing is what I think, individuals such as the one you're speaking of have a very specific. Yes, it's true, leeches need blood, just like the parasites that they are, but there are certain kinds of leeches that are connoisseurs. They need very specific dietary needs. Their body won't take anything else. Kind of makes them a little haughty and, overly egotistical. Now, all leeches thirst for power, but these specific leeches, it's all that matters to them. Status, esteem, position. And with that, their specific dietary needs make it a lot harder for them to hunt, because they need to hunt those of a specific type or quality. Now, if this Bateman is one of them, your friend possesses that quality. Having a constant source by your side keeps you from starving, as long as you tend to it and take care of it. Therefore, they don't need to go out and hunt. They don't need to go out and feed. They have it on tap, as it. Their type love to do that. They don't care as much about the thrill of the hunt. They care about their lust for power. And it sounds like this Bateman has both. If you find out whatever that thing is that your friend possesses, that thing that makes her so valuable to him, you'll get insight into what he's after for sustenance. And perhaps you can find a way to exploit it. Does any of that make sense? Am I being too vague?
No. I mean, does it is it like a physical thing in her blood?
Could be. Or it could be something as simple as the color of her hair, or where she was born, or a hobby. It's so minute of a detail, so specific of a detail, that it limits them from being able to just go out and grab any person off the street. In fact, a lot of them have to order that kind of sustenance from organizations that have built up just to profit off of this need of theirs.
So if we
Talking
take a... Go ahead, Jace.
Just wanted to clarify, you're talking about trafficking people.
Yes. The blood, more specifically, but the people have the blood, and to keep it fresh, that's the best way to do it.
And if we take away the one that he has, he'll go looking for another one, which will.
Need another one, that's right. So, find out what his need is and exploit it. Limit it. Take it away. You want to tilt a leech off balance, take away their food. Because the one thing that they crave most of all will always be blood. What comes after that could be sex, could be power, could be saving the planet, believe it or not. But blood will always come first. Find out what blood they need. Take it from them. Not just all blood. From what I've been hearing about town, you did a perfectly good job of that already. But the powerful ones, the kings of their kind, they require specific ingredients. To the point that they'll make those ingredients happen if they can.
Aspen's eyes will be darting back and forth, and then she'll just make eye contact with Jace.
He'll look back to her with a small smirk, and he'll go back into his thoughts.
I will say, if you do disrupt their food, be prepared for the repercussions of that. But, sorry, Jester, what did you have to say?
Oh. I was gonna say, like, I am just staring at the table while she's talking, like, just mentally going over everything I know about Mia, trying to figure out or think of what it could be. I mean, I knew her, she was optimistic, still law student. She, very invested in saving the environment.
What
You
made
see
her
it-
different from Chloe? Because he could have taken Chloe just as easily.
I mean, Chloe didn't study law. Chloe leaned more towards crafting, and she was good at organizing things, but she wasn't actually interested in law. That's what Mia's strength was when in the group, was understanding the laws. It's stupid and may not be anything, like, her favorite performer was Beyonce. She looked at me like I was a fucking hero.
Well, it may not be as stupid as you think. Those things that you've listed are all possible acquired tastes. But I think you already have all the pieces you need to solve the puzzle. What do he and her have in common? And what better way to ensure you'll never go hungry than to surround yourself with potential subjects?
That's why he wanted to keep the university.
What a sick fuck.
Like I said, there's no one you can't get to. You know the way. If you want to beat them, you have to accept that you have to think like them sometimes. You have to get into their sick and predatory minds and dissect that information. You already know the obvious fact: they need blood. Blood is possible to be acquired in a variety of ways. I hear they're even manufacturing blood now through some scientific nonsense. Or at least a blood substitute of sorts. But how do they get it? All of them have a way. Some, it's as simple as attacking someone on the street. First person you see, drag him into an alleyway, hit him over the head, and go to town. But for others, very delicate, personal process. They are predators. And like wolves, they hunt. How they hunt? What do they hunt? The why you have. It's those other questions you need. And no leech will make more mistakes than when they're truly desperate. You saw it for yourselves, I think. I hope that helps.
You seem fairly knowledgeable on the whole leech of it all. These kind of people. How do you give them something they can't refuse?
Well, replacing a ready source of food, that's difficult. They have everything they need beside them at all times, within their protection, within their reach, and you're asking them to give it up. If you're going to take away their first priority, you have to appeal to their second. What does he want nearly as much as he needs blood? Or what can you take that he can't live without besides?
Power.
I was thinking power too.
And how he holds that power. His position that he has. Take that. Remove that pillar that he stands on.
Now, if you're not looking to potentially cause conflict or have a lot more work than you already have on your plate, you do have a potential last resort you could play. See, Miss Weiss, ever since we met, I have come to learn more about you. What we do. I know that you're a lawyer, some esteem. Your own firm, in fact, with your name on the building. And at your age, unless you look a lot younger than you actually are, is quite an accomplishment. Now, take this from someone who has no necessary stake in the game other than loving to see leeches torn down a peg. You've been a thorn in his side, legally speaking. What if you offered to remove the thorn? And now I know could be your life's work, but there's nothing that can't be broken that can't be rebuilt as well when the time is right. Make him think he's won. Appeal to his ego. That may very well be more valuable than blood in the short term. Especially from the sounds of it, he's got plenty of it around him. So this one won't be irreplaceable.
Aspen will look over at Jester and back at Sudi. Yeah. I get it.
That's not to say you can't try for other avenues first, but it's been 2 years. There's going to be a lot of healing to do. Question is, how much more healing are you willing to acquire? Is time of the essence, or can you afford to stall longer? But again, that's just one person's perspective, an outsider, if you will. Also, I love this table.
Former packmate made it.
Very pretty.
I don't know. I think how he's perceived is important to him as well. He always needs to seem like he's in control of things.
What was one of the biggest and first offenses that was done to you by him? To any of you.
He got my ex-boyfriend alone and mentally manipulated him, and at some point turned him into a thrall.
That's a big one. Most definitely.
That was before he knew I was Garu.
Also a very common tactic. If you are a problem for them, they will go to no ends. But there's nothing that'll stop them from finding a solution. As dastardly as it can be. They don't play by the rules of law or fairness.
No.
What about you, Aspen? What's something he's done to you? Again, if I'm prying too much, I'm so sorry, and I will.
He took He took my friends. Permanently.
If my research is correct, he took more than that.
It's true.
Seems like that's something he enjoys. Winning. Can you afford to lose in the short term to win in the long term?
What are we
One
losing?
last question. Oh, go ahead.
I just said, what are we losing?
Reputation. Esteem.
I get it. Understand.
One last question, and I'll be on my merry way. Do you ever worry about that falling and, like, coming down on you? Because that seems like it would hurt a lot if it did. And, like, there are high winds in this area, so it seems very possible that that thing could just become a missile of Guru death.
Tends to be more temperate here, so it's not that big of an issue.
Oh. You have my number? Again, sorry to intrude. I will be off. But don't hesitate to call me if there's anything I can do for you. As you have provided me with such a welcome, it only makes sense that I honor that hospitality with my services while I'm here.
Absolutely. And when we're not in the middle of a meeting, I'll definitely show you around and let you see the place.
You see her wince at the mention of a meeting. I'll call in advance next time.
I meant no offense.
Oh, and neither did I. Be sure of that. It just was a beautiful day for a walk, and my feet led me here. Anyway, did you finish your meeting? Gaia, go with you.
Actually, Larry, why don't before Suni leaves, why don't you show her the cairn, show her around?
He's out of his seat and by her side in a flash. Yeah, if you'll follow me. And she kind of gives him a big smile. And you can tell she knows exactly what's going on as she says, "That sounds wonderful." Boop. She boops him on the nose. And he immediately blushes, but starts leading her away from the table. Eliza.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to watch her go with slightly narrowed eyes, realizing how well she manipulated that conversation in afterthought and how much we gave away. She's good.
She probably heard most of what we were talking about anyways. If she heard from your mom on.
Mm-hmm.
Eliza, who has been unusually quiet this whole time, watches Suni leave and then looks back to all of you. That's no Silent Strider. And that's where our scene comes to a close and we go to our break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of tonight's story.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaborations with our partnered vendors, Chromatic Creations US, Panchi Artista, Ember Fox Dice, Devlin the Bard, Champs Tramps, and Howlin' Hop Tea. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpbynight.com. You can follow St. Pete by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. Pete by Night. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/St. Pete by Night to help keep the stories rolling.
Welcome back. As we return, we find ourselves at the cairn later that evening. Now, Jester, you have now publicly declared your intentions to travel to West Virginia, to go to the Morgantown cairn, to hopefully solve this lingering issue that seems to be plaguing Xander. But not everyone involved in this process is entirely aware of your intentions. One of the people that you hope to bring with you to the Morgantown cairn is Shawn, as he was firsthand witness to what happened in Michigan, and he might be a little bit more well-spoken than Stakes in this instance, even though Stakes' opinion would be very, very, very valuable. She dictated some details to you, which you wrote down, but a first-hand witness account would be very useful as well. And ever since he arrived at the cairn, Shawn has spent a great deal of time reading and assisting where he can, despite his handicap of losing an arm in that battle in Michigan. He's been without a great deal of constant purpose. Now he's been helpful to anybody who's come to talk to him. Delphine spent a great deal of time with him during his convalescence. But for the most part, he's just been adrift. And now with this new task laid out before you, maybe, just maybe, give him something to do. So as you return to the cairn from patrol later in the evening, you find the bonfire is lit in the center of the cairn, and Shawn sits nearby, struggling to hold up a paperback book and occasionally placing it in his lap to turn the page and lift it up once more. But as you approach, he closes the book and sets it down in his lap. Malicious Jester, good evening.
Good evening. You can call me Jester if you want. Most people do.
Keep that in mind. What can I do for you?
Do you mind if I sit down?
Please. He gestures with his one hand over to another camp chair that is left vacant around the fire.
I'll sit down and glance at the book. Is it a good book?
A classic, actually. It's The Hunt for the Red October.
Ah, I have not read that one yet. I'm sure it'll eventually come up.
You like a lot of sailing references and a lot of military talk, maybe, but the story is good. And pickings are slim.
Ah, fair, fair. What do you usually like to read?
Well, anything, honestly. It is my means of an escape, I suppose. Go to a different life, a different world. A place where, yes, even there, the issues that plague us are in the background, but they're not the focus. You can see all kinds of the human experience and otherwise books. But also, you learn a great deal about the author as you read. what they've seen, what they've experienced, how they see the world. If anything, books are a wonderful survey into the state of things at that time. What was politically or emotionally relevant to them? What stood out? What are they trying to potentially teach us or entertain us with? Or what are they trying to run from? When all is said and done, these stories, much like the stories you tell in the Silver Record, are all that will remain of a time gone by. Even going back to the times of cave etchings. Sure, you can look at the fossils, but as we're learning more and more, those who interpret the fossils aren't always correct, as dinosaurs aren't large lizards, but more likely birds.
You're not wrong. Honestly, a course I took on journalism recently talked about how people are kind of programmed for stories. And so even trying to create journalistic articles into forms of stories would appeal more to people reading than just the facts.
Indeed.
How have you been holding up?
Well, one could say I can't hold up much of anything anymore, but I've been well. This is a very calming place. It's good to see. Good to see the pups doing so well here, thriving under your leadership, learning lessons that we failed to teach them. I'm glad, in fact, that they were here and not there. And I think what you're doing here, albeit different and somewhat strange to what I was taught, has a lot of merit.
Stare up at the stars for a bit. You know, lately, or since I've been here and everything's happened here, I've wondered if the stories we told, we weren't taking the right lessons from. So I'm trying to look at those stories differently and see how in the past where we could have gone wrong and maybe change that.
I think that's the constant goal for us, our people. While there are lessons to be passed along in the telling of a story, it's up to those that hear the story to determine what it means to them.
It is, but humans, us, we also tend to tell stories that put the narrative we want out more than perhaps what happened and what we want others, what others should have taken away.
Of course, the story is rewritten every time it's told. Little additions, subtractions.
Yeah,
I fear my story and the story of my sept isn't the best, but fortunately, I am still able to change it.
I think that's the beauty of still being alive, is we have a chance to change things. I would like to hear your story, if you're willing to tell it.
I hope you like stories about ranches and horses, because that's how I spent a majority of my days, but there are other stories along with it, yes. Stories of struggle and temptation, loss of friends, packmates, companions. Overall, it sounds like a story of woe, but luckily it's not over yet.
Good. I'm going to West Virginia in a few weeks. And I talked to Stakes about what happened at the mine, but I was hoping I could possibly get you to tell me your side of things and what you saw. Also, if you're willing, I would like you to accompany me there and speak to them in person, just so they know the possible threat that's there.
Not
I
sure how much more I can say than Stakes has already said. A lupus born gives more truth than any human born, Hamid born could ever give, but not doing a great deal around here. If that's my way of contributing and helping out, I'd be happy to.
Well, yes, Stakes gave me a very, very plain, blunt, detailed account of what she remembered, but usually the truth of what happened lies in the middle of everyone's story. And maybe you saw some things that she missed.
She was conscious longer than I, but there are details that a theurge picks up that many others tend to overlook. I will be happy to recount what I do remember from that time.
I really appreciate that, but I do understand if you don't feel comfortable going to. I don't want to force you to. It's not any sort of expectation at all.
Didn't think it was. I do have to contribute. After all, it was your efforts, your sept's efforts that saved my life and continues to take care of me here. If it's the most I can contribute, I do so with enthusiasm.
I'm grateful for your help, but it was our request that sent you to those mines. And you suffered something very terrible. So I don't think any of us expect you to contribute or to pull your weight as you're recovering from that.
With no offense intended, I'd like to correct you on that assertion. It was Gaia's need that sent us to those mines. You were merely the harbingers of the message.
I stand corrected, and am not offended.
And truthfully, the loss is ours in not being as insightful or aware as we could have been. We trusted one of our own. We let them in. They were our family. And their betrayal cuts deep. That is what is the greatest loss of all. The loss of not only those that have fallen, but the loss of trust. The questioning belief of all that came before that betrayal. What was real? What wasn't? Was he responsible for inciting the civil war that came between our sept? What part did he play in our separating from the nation? A lot of questions I fear I'll never get an answer to, not in a way I would like. But one day, those losses will be vindicated.
It's always trail is a very deep cut, especially when you don't know how much was their own choice and how much was influenced by something else.
You speak as if you're familiar with such a feeling.
I am.
I'm sorry for that.
Like you, eventually justice will be seen. I think we just have to be patient on it.
One of the things we're taught as Guru from the day we find our people is that this is a life of pain, suffering, loss, an endless fight, one that will likely take our lives. Well, will undoubtedly take our lives, even if it isn't physical. But that perspective, that lesson, diminishes everything else around our existence. It takes for granted all of the things that make being what we are an honor. And it denies those who fully believe and invest in it the ability to recognize that life doesn't end the first change. It merely shifts course. And that the things we loved before, we can love still. I loved horses, horseback riding. When I was a child, I wanted to be a cowboy, including the revolvers and the chaps and everything. But I could still tend to horses after my change. And in fact, I came to own a ranch. The things I loved didn't go away. I may have had to approach them differently. See, most animals don't really take too kindly to our presence. There's something about our aura that startles them. But that's how I learned I needed to control how I appeared to them. I needed to tame that side of me that made them feel preyed upon and showed them that I was no threat. It was work, certainly, but it was worthwhile work.
I see what you mean. I have, funnily enough, my passion before my change was environmentalism. So it kind of just fit in well.
Gaia chose correctly in that instance.
I like to think so. Sometimes.
She's mysterious in that way. To determine her intentions, her reasons behind picking who she picks is, well, it's folly. To be completely honest, it's an impossible task. We can't know Gaia's will or her reasoning. Honestly, it's not our job to. I even heard, this is likely just a rumor, that there is an astronaut guru. The most outrageous thing I've ever heard. But I wouldn't put it past her. Gaia has a wonderful sense of humor. Protect the place you want to be least.
It's just weird. I'll look up towards the treehouse, give a deep sigh. So the purpose isn't completely to tell them what happened to your sept in Ohio and Wisconsin, but also mainly I'm on a bit of a spirit quest to help.
Find the bat.
Yes.
Eliza gave me some context. I
Oh,
did
good.
wonder what that man in the tree was doing here and why they seemed so twitchy.
Troubled?
A better word, to be certain. Now, with that understanding, it makes me even more curious about this place and about your task, your request.
Did she tell you what he is?
It took some time for me to believe it, I won't lie. But when you see him emerge in the middle of the night, completely naked, jumping off into the trees, seeing is believing.
From what I understand of their history, the spirit that would be their patron, or that is their patron, now that he's around, also happens to be the patron of the dancers. But we think that there is another bat, a white bat spirit, that could, if not replace, possibly combat the voice in his head that is bat.
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, you are looking to replace an entire species of Farah's patron with another.
It's a long shot, I know.
And you're looking to bring back the lost patron of Turtle. It's a wonder you're not all Fearges.
Fair, fair. But
Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Don't take this as a representation of my own personal leanings, as I currently have none. Well, I guess I only have leanings these days. Do you ever worry that the world will become too full? With the return of these patrons brings the return of what they represent. Nature intended survival of the fittest. Things that were gone for a reason, and not always a good one, I'll admit. Humans are possibly one of the worst things that ever happened to this world. I'm one of them. But the War of Rage, as I've heard it, another mar against our people, happened because of a need to assert dominance. Might over everything else. Survival of the fittest, you could almost say. In the return of things that were lost, brings up so many possibilities. A need for revenge, or a need to prove themselves once more. With these different entities coming back, are we offsetting the balance that currently exists? Are we putting our thumb on the scale of evolution of nature more than we already do? I will assist in this task no matter what, because I believe it is the right thing to do. That poor man suffers with what he is, and if left untended, will go from a tragic story to a threat.
that's
But
also my.
yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's also my job to make sure that doesn't happen and to take care of him if he does turn.
That's a heavy burden and responsibility for one to carry.
Well, luckily I have my pack to lean on when it gets heavy. But go on, you were still. And I'll answer your question after you're done.
Do you worry that the world will become too full? Do you worry about a history repeating itself because of the actions you and the others are taking to restore what was lost?
Sometimes. But one, I have a question for you. With
Please.
everything you're aware of, from what I understand with your sept, you really weren't happy with the nation itself, with the state of the world that it is in. Do you really think there's balance right now?
I think balance comes in many forms. Of course, there's no balance. The worm is corrupted, it's eating away at the planet as we know it. Humans are claiming more and more land they don't need, building houses for no one to live in, populating at a, well, thankfully lately, smaller rate, but for a long time overpopulating. And honestly, I think we all know that the Guru are dying out. Less and less of us are changing. The idea of Guru even being bred seems like a myth.
Are we adding more to the world or bringing more back? Possibly. But what we have now, in the war of rage, in the talk you asked about survival of the fittest, we're not surviving, we're dying. The world is dying. Something needs to change.
I don't disagree
And
with you.
do I worry that it's going to bring up? Absolutely, it's going to bring up old grievances, old reasons to prove, but we also need to try to convince as many as we can that we have to try something new.
That we are in agreement. One of our biggest complaints with the nation, probably similar to your own, which was they were dictating for all tribes, all people, no matter where they lived, no matter what their situation was, how we should be, how our territory should be ruled. And truthfully, their beliefs had changed over the past several years. They had become hopeless, muted. More and more squabbles were coming up between the different septs. And there was no one to turn to for guidance. I remember a time under the great King Albrecht. And while I had my own issues with the Silver Fangs and the way they ruled, as is our nature, both of us, he led with strange purity, selflessness. It was inspiring. I think it's what united us, to be honest. We've called ourselves the nation for far longer than that. But he felt like a king, ruled like a king in the most just of ways. And then it ended. Because honestly, no man can hold that burden forever, that responsibility. Why kingdoms rise and fall. Monarchies are not the way of life anymore,
No,
though others would think otherwise.
Yeah, I think several in his tribe still try to think that way, but I agree. I don't think having a king is the best way to try to bring us together.
If not that, then what? Democracy? With the scattering of opinions amongst people, everybody wanting what benefits them specifically? Or a spiritual oligarchy? Would you see me and my theurge brethren as leaders rather than advisors and guides?
I think there's a place for the urge leaders, yes. I think more than one leader or more than one voice should be consulted.
And what if those voices don't align? And what if they don't align on something so crucial, vital, that it's almost a deal breaker for either of them, or both of them, or all of them? We shatter once more. This isn't to say it couldn't work. I would never have believed that a king could be possible. But our united mission isn't enough. Saving Gaia, as horrible as it sounds, isn't enough. Not enough to unite us. Because we
Fucking
all have our...
aggravating.
Oh, certainly. You'd think it would be. You'd think it should be. Who cares about our petty differences if we don't have a place to live, a place that nourishes us spiritually and physically? But corporations are moving in, deforesting your land, while somewhere else they're dealing with an overabundance of leeches feeding upon the citizens. Whose problem is more important? Whose problem is worthy of assistance?
You ask a lot of questions that I, as one person, don't have the answer to.
They're rhetorical. Jester.
I don't think
Nobody
they're
can answer, for sure.
I don't think they're completely rhetorical. I think they need to be thought about. Maybe pull out a little notebook and pen, start writing them down. Maybe I'll just pass them over to Aspen as something for us to think about.
Aspen is such a puzzle to me. But it's a statement as to this place, to this vision you have. Red was leader because nobody could take it from him, even if they tried. And not just in strength, but in wits and charm and intelligence. But Aspen, you look at that diminutive frame, that choice of attire. You don't think leader, at least not in the ways that we were taught. But as I'm learning in my time here, maybe we should. But
Honestly,
even
you see,
she can't answer all of those questions. Even she would buckle under the weight of that responsibility.
that's why I don't expect her to take it on alone.
No, but you can also spread yourselves too thin if you try to do it all.
It's fair.
You ask about this trip to Virginia, West Virginia, and all I can think is, can you afford this trip? Can Tampa afford your absence? Is not the growing threat at Piney Point the top priority?
Okay, first of all, as short as she is, she'll surprise you. I've seen her pack a good punch. Also, she did rip the chest out of a vine wolf the other night, really, really quickly. She's very capable now.
As I said, I've learned not to underestimate in my time here.
I am worried about leaving, but I think the risk is worth it, and I feel like we've dealt a big blow. Several big blows recently to Piney Point that they will be busy recovering, or I hope they'll be busy recovering. And the hellhounds, the pups have proven themselves capable enough that I feel like we can rely on them more. Despite all the bullshit they seem to be going through, personally.
You understand my apprehension as someone who fell subject to the worm's twisted dealings on a side quest.
I do.
But I am here to assist, not lead. For my leadership led to ruin. Ruin that's felt even still by the pups here. If you believe it's worthwhile, if you believe it's necessary, that's all that matters. You're here. You've been here fighting this fight. This isn't being decided by a monarch on a throne thousands of miles away. This is being decided by those with paws on the ground. That's the right decision. They're the ones who should decide for themselves, or they will carry the consequences of that decision.
I understand. And I appreciate everything you've asked and said. I think you have a very unique perspective that could help us
Just glad I'm
try
still
to,
around to share it.
it might help us think about things that we may have missed. And I think we need that wisdom.
Comes from experience. Even as recently as Michigan mines. But I have much to learn from all of you as well.
Then we'll learn from each other.
Good. I have very few things to pack, so I'm ready whenever you are.
I'd still need to make some arrangements, but I will definitely keep you informed on when we're going. Also, I don't know completely everything, but try not to carry the complete weight of guilt for what happened on your soldiers. You may not have seen him, but he, Rick, and the others, the other dancers, they did this. You didn't.
I know. I understand. And I am not moping in sadness over the loss. I am going to carry the grief for my fallen brethren, but I am not responsible for what was done. I am merely another individual going through the experience and witnessing the consequences of the actions that were taken. And I'll do what I can to make it right.
If you need help, I'm willing.
Thank you. I have a feeling, based off of what we encountered, it's only a matter of time before it finds its way here. Hopefully it didn't destroy everything else first.
Yeah.
With that, we transition to our final scene of the evening. Aspen and Jace. Aspen, you had mentioned at the pack meeting that there was something you wished to discuss with Jace, some business you wished to discuss. And Jace, you have been trying to get a little bit more outdoorsy, trying to get in touch with your wolf self, first hunting with Jester, now hiking with Aspen. Boy, is it uncomfortable. Is it stuffy? Is it hot? Are the hills too high? Are the roots too easy to trip over? This is not the city, which has its own jungles. And while some may say hiking is just walking outdoors, you're learning just how much more goes into it. So as you find yourselves in the depths of Hillsborough State Park, way outside of the Bawn, the scene is yours.
Aspen has her hair pulled back in a ponytail, much more casual. Her hiking boots are laced up where usually she has them folded down. Wearing much more sportswear as she's ahead, checking back towards Jace as he kind of falls behind, but she's trying to pace to make sure he keeps up.
He stumbles quite often, trying to step over the roots and rocks and different debris on the ground. He has his sleeves rolled up, and at some points he trips and he crawls on his hands, trying to stand back up, trying to keep pace with you. This considered fun? Is this what this is? An exercise? Like, they have gyms for that. There's a thing called treadmills, and they have inclines and pitches you can do, and you don't have to be out here to get the exercise.
You're a guru, Jace. You know, maybe get used to it.
I'm trying, but I'm just saying that if we're going to exercise, there's a great gym maybe half mile from the bar.
Aren't you trying to be one with nature, get used to your wolf side or whatnot?
There's being one with, and then there's getting your ass kicked by the ground.
Well, it seems like you've done your fair share of being one with nature, crawling on that floor.
He'll dust his hands off a little bit. Break? No, just keep pushing on and keep cracking the whip. I'm just here.
We can take a little break if you really need it.
It's more for you, but he'll find a nice little spot and take a seat. A little bit of heavy breathing.
You're right. I'm so tired.
You're welcome. He'll take a look around the area, more just trying to catch his breath.
Wits and awareness.
Okay. Still rage 1.
Still rage 1. Actually, let's make it rage 2. Hiking sucks.
That's 5.
Okay. With 5 successes, as you look around the area, just outside of the bawn of the cairn, the shadows are deeper, darker. You bear witness to more of the effect that these attracted banes is having. Nothing immediate, nothing threatening, nothing that needs to be dealt with this second. But you can tell that it's bleeding over. You can tell that it is having an impact on the surrounding. And as you look deeper, almost without intention or purpose, your vision blurs slightly. And you see partially to the other side where those deep and dark shadows stretch even further. That the trees, almost as if in winter, have lost all their leaves. They're not dead, but you feel winter's chill taking hold in a place where winter does not touch. Not fully. And you swear for a brief second, you hear an ominous jingle of bells, foreboding and deep. But as you blink it away, you are returned.
Can shake his head a little bit. Ask me, I told you the encroaching banes in the area.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's a pressing concern at this exact moment. He'll look around to the deeper areas again. But its stretch is getting further. It is something we'll need to take care of sooner than later.
I am hoping that part of it will be, it'll be more at first, but then it'll be a little bit less when we get Piney Point taken care of with all of that disgusting stuff around. It's probably not helping.
Speaking of Piney Point, the relationship between the pack leader, Sept leader, and the Theurge is a respected one. I and to interpret what the spirits say, and I'm supposed to give you that information, and you delegate from there. With that, there are some things that only the conversation between the leader and the Theurge should be spoken, and why I did not bring it up during the meeting.
Okay. Well, go for it. And she's gonna pull out a water and hand it over to him. Still see him kind of panting a little bit.
He'll grab it and open it and start drinking quickly. He's getting his whistle wet. He kind of clears out an area on the ground and he finds a stick and starts to kind of draw this area, this buildings with decay and an ocean line. So here we have Tampa. And over here we have the ocean. Now, what I saw was Tampa in almost utter ruin. And the ocean almost polluted to the fill. In some of my dreams, there has been, wouldn't call him a spirit, wouldn't really call him an entity. There's been someone calls himself the guide, a wolf that is half decayed itself. It's come to me a few times. Showed me Tampa, and then took me elsewhere. He'll erase the drawing of Tampa and recreate briefly what Piney Point was. At Piney Point, I got a glimpse of what it could be. He'll try and attempt to draw a dragon. She who shines comes to aid. He'll draw a group of rat people. The ratkin, they will come as well. They'll attempt to draw a bat with little creatures following it. And even Xander will be there. And I think he's giving aid. Everyone is occupied as he draws out the rest of the pack. And then he goes to where there's this creature with this glowing eye. So this is where I'm at. And I'm facing what I can only imagine to be the entity, the Valor itself, or someone who's perceiving to be it. But I was told that if the battle goes this way, the choices that are being made will lead to this battle looking like what I saw in Tampa previously, the ruin and decay. With that being said, the choices that are made dictate the outcome, and choices have effect not only on the person who makes them, but the people who are around. My concern lies in the past, but not necessarily. I'm working through my own, but there's a part of a past that I have a higher concern about, and I'm trying to move past it, but I want to know something about you.
Okay. It's relevant to your dream?
I would say so.
Then sure.
Why'd you walk away?
When?
He'll look off into the distance, into the shadows. As a child, I experienced what abandonment is. And I know the overall feeling of it. My concern is if someone can walk away from something like that, that same person could walk away from a larger fight upcoming. At that point, he'll turn and look her straight in the eye.
Do you mean why I left Idaho?
In a sense,
Well, my first change didn't go very well, and I wasn't comfortable being this and who we are, and I was a bit of a mess back then. I didn't even like seeing myself in any other version than this. It's not something I'm proud of, but I just needed to be somewhere new and away from everything that was before.
the things you left behind, do you ever have concern about those things?
She grabs at the phone in her pocket and fidgets with it almost instinctually and then lets go. I left a lot of things unanswered, I guess you could say. And I regret it a lot, and it makes it really difficult to look back at that time.
The regret that you're sitting with, and it's something that you've come to terms with.
Still think about it often. I think about calling, I think about going up there, but I don't have the I don't have the ability at the moment. I don't have the time to make things right there when I'm trying to make things right here.
Things you do in the past can alter your course for your current future. Like I said, my concern lies with leaving something like that. Just makes me think someone could leave it just at a whim.
I mean, I left with a friend. I do regret leaving my mom alone, and someone who I cared for like a mom, and not giving the man who was, well, nice to me and treated me with respect, that I didn't give him the answers he deserved. But I know they're all okay. I don't, well, I don't know that for sure, but I hope that they are.
I want to make this clear. I'm not coming from a place of judgment, more of just wanting to understand you better. When we lived together, I talked about my childhood a bit with you, and with the current things that have gone on that happened in Columbus, the things or what happened there, and the things that happened in Michigan, and now with Ravi. My internal fight is one where I am wanting retribution for what has happened, and I'm trying to deal with that. Along with that, there's, since hearing about what happened in Idaho, there's been a bit of a sting, just of sense that someone who uproots everything and goes, and then is the pack leader and is, I think, a good friend. There are times I have a hard time looking past it.
What exactly are you struggling with?
I don't know if I can handle another walkout, another loss.
Don't plan on walking out. I've been here. I've just needed a new start. It's not like I had responsibilities there. Sure, I had a job there. I had things I had to do. I had a fiance, and well, at least it's an assumption. But that was kind of ended before this ever started. This kind of was the reason it ended and this started. But other than that, I would never abandon anyone.
Okay.
I mean, you had a fresh start here. I mean, you left your pack. I know you didn't abandon them. They knew you were leaving, but I didn't have a pack there. I didn't have. I'm sure you had family there. Yes.
Not really.
Not even anyone you would consider family other than your pack.
The only people that ever really showed me any source of love were two old people at a soup kitchen. And there was also Gus, but Gus was also an employee.
Yeah, and I had my mom, and I had Shannon, and they knew I was leaving. I didn't abandon them.
So you said your goodbyes to all those who deserved it.
I didn't. Okay. During my first change, I was in the woods with someone I really cared about, and long story short, there was a bear, things happened, Aiden showed up, but Hayhots was killed, and I at first had no idea what was going on, so I just thought Aiden was a weirdo, and I thought there was something suspicious happening, and I was working with Son to try and figure it all out, but when I found out what really happened, I just left. I couldn't tell him that I was the reason his son died.
So your regret of leaving, where does it stem from then?
That I couldn't give him an answer, that I couldn't give anyone an answer of what happened, why I'm leaving, that I couldn't tell him, that I couldn't give him justice for his son's death. But how do you explain I turned into this and I killed another human being?
That would be a hard conversation to have.
want to, and in a lot of ways, to like give closure on that for the people around, but how do you can't. You just can't. It's the veil, I guess the guilt also.
Can I do a quick look at her with the current shadows around? Is there any type of entity reaching towards her at all about what we're talking about? Anything like that?
Absolutely. You can feel that the shadows in the trees have shifted direction to move her way. They're not, again, threatening or encroaching at a dangerous rate, but you can tell she's gotten their attention for sure.
When emotions like this, it's easy to, and this is rich coming from me, push them down into a box and try and keep them there. And no matter how far down you push them and bury them and try and cover them, they always sit there. And secrets always have a way of coming to the light. And those feelings of guilt, regret, some people don't see them as secrets, but there are other things that do. I have my own demons I need to fight and face, but with the current fight we have upcoming, wanting to make sure that our leadership is of clear mind.
I mean, I think we all have regrets. I think we all have guilt. I think we all have feelings about things that have happened in the past. I feel guilty about plenty of things. And I'm doing my best to make them right here. I'm here. I'm doing this leader thing. I'm moving past the issues I had before, and I'm doing what I can, but you can't get rid of it completely. And I don't know how. And she pauses and like stares at him, trying not to get upset or angry. But I don't know how that makes me any different than any of the rest of us.
It's the position in which you hold. That's it. And Aspen, you are doing a great job leading. You are doing a phenomenal job. And every avenue that you have taken is something for a step forward. I'm just wanting to make sure that you keep going down the path that you're on. The dream that I had shook me a bit about choices and how they have a rippling effect.
No
Jace.
disrespect. Go ahead.
Oh, you finished. Go ahead.
No disrespect, Jace, but I know all about people making choices and them having consequences. So I'm the last person you need to lecture on that.
As she says that, Jace, you see that the shadows that were crawling towards her are growing a little bit closer, but then almost as if out of nowhere behind her, a spiritual spectral wolf comes out and growls and snaps at the shadows, causing them to retreat and coil back away from her.
Looking at the wolf, I'll give a slight nod and look to Aspen. Understood. I'll back off on it.
I don't mean to, I don't know. It's still weird to talk about and not something I do often, but if you have questions, you're always welcome to ask.
That's why I brokered the subject. I know you are willing to talk about anything, but if I do end up crossing lines, just bark and I'll stop.
I will. Did I answer your question?
In the most Aspen way, yes.
Well, at least it was answered because I have questions for you.
Well, I think it's only fair.
That's how this works, right? You ask me things, get information, and then I get to ask you things.
All right, acting like you know my shtick. But yeah, sure. He'll get himself a little comfortable and lean back. Fire away.
I've learned a thing or two. So this whole Bateman thing,
He'll roll his eyes. Yeah.
I need you to stop trying to move around it. I need you to stop trying to way to stop this treaty and to stop it in its tracks. It's doing none of us any good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
You told me not to do something. I'm not doing anything.
You made me get serious. You get serious.
Some of the pieces of play are already in play.
You understand that if it goes badly, this Piney Point, everything that we've been working for is completely and utterly destroyed.
Elaborate.
If we don't make this treaty happen, we have no iron. And there's no way of getting in and getting that iron. So if we don't make this treaty happen, we have no iron. If we have no iron, we can't get rid of the plants. If we can't get rid of the plants, we're back at square one. The treaty has to happen. It's just it's a sacrifice that we have to make, and I don't like it either. Trust me, anyways, I don't like it either.
Bending to a thing like him. He'll kind of push up against the spot he's at. I will put a pause to what I have going on.
But trust me, I'm with you. I don't want this treaty as much as the rest of us. But we have to make the treaty happen. It's the only way we get iron. But I think you and I can come up with some plans to make this treaty so difficult that it's broken on his side.
And if I told you that they're already breaking it, we're just not catching them in the act?
I wouldn't be surprised in several ways. I wouldn't be surprised, but we at least have to act as if the treaty is happening. We have to have the treaty happen, and then we can start moving. And we have to do it smart. We can't just have people sneaking around, potentially getting caught. That's not gonna help. We're going to get caught with our hands in the cookie jar. It's just gonna happen.
He'll pull out his phone. Look, he doesn't have reception. I'd make a stop to it now, but when I get service, I'll make it happen.
And with that, I'd like you to come with me when we broker this treaty, so you know exactly what the treaty is, exactly what was said, and exactly the terms of the agreement.
You want me to go with you?
Yes.
Okay. Did everyone else say no?
So little faith in yourself.
I do. I can sit there, but I'm not the one to intimidate someone. I'm not the guy who has the face that will make people melt and tell you everything.
No, but you have good ears, you have good insight, and you have the composure needed when I waver.
I'd be happy to.
I know you're just saying that, but I think all of us hate it.
At these term meetings, broker, I don't know what you guys call it. At the sit down, do you guys have rules or what the things that we can't do? I'm assuming no fighting.
Absolutely no fighting. No anything that would show ill will. You have to be, in a way, respectful with these things.
Okay.
And you were there, you know, Suni said, we have to let him think that he's winning. That's where you come in, because you make sure he doesn't.
You want me to set up a Trojan horse within it? Is that what you're getting at?
Not right away. Not anything that would be obvious or untoward, but I think there's different things that we can do as far as keeping an eye on the university, tracking anything that he may be moving, because if we do get Mia, then he's going to be looking. And of course, it's going to be easy because he has his own firm. I'm sure he can find a nice, pretty, disgusting, to satiate him. But we keep eyes, and the moment he steps out of line, you'll know about it. We'll all know about it, and it'll be him breaking it, and we can move from there. But right now, we can't have him at our backs while we're taking care of Piney Point.
You want eyes on the university?
I have a contact, but extra eyes are always needed.
I would have asked for permission, but I was already doing things without it. So outside of the university proper, there is an old abandoned pizza parlor, been shut down since 2019. It was pretty cheap, so I bought it. Thought it would be a good way to keep an eye on the university because, you know, people love pizza.
They do. Yes.
Kids will
I
come
think-
in, they'll do their talks, we'll pick up different information. I'm sure at some point a nasty professor will walk in and start spewing his guts about something. And then at that point, we'll know.
Absolutely. And I think just keeping an eye on all of the other spots amongst the town that we're not allowed to go, not infiltrating, but just keeping an ear to the ground. You're good at that, right?
I have been tend to dabble.
but we've got to make this treaty while Jester's gone. And we also have to get information for Alice. So I'm gonna need your help with that too.
I have a few different people out trying to get more information for Alice, trying to track down what's been going on. It comes to tracking people as far as additional stuff, Artie's. Artie's would be a huge help.
See her smile kind of fade for a second. Yeah, he's just he's going through a lot right now.
Tired?
Yeah.
Okay. But as far as the sit down with Bateman, more than happy to go with you. Make sure that we have a good treaty. I'll keep an eye on the things that I can, and then I'll pass them up to you.
I think that'll be perfect. And as far as everything else goes, I'm not leaving. I'll never leave. I'm kind of stuck here anyway, so if I ever did, you could just yell at me, yell at a tree. I'll hear it, I'm sure. But I don't plan on leaving. We all have too much at stake.
The trees, and I don't even know which tree you would be in, but yeah, you die, I will yell at them all. But with this upcoming fight, it's not my place to necessarily say, but the lack of regret going into it and making sure that everyone makes the right choices and not for selfish reasons. That was one of the big things that the guide was showing me, is making the righteous choice versus a selfish one.
Yeah, I know all about spirits telling you what choices you should make and how all of that's gonna go. But I think if you got the right intentions, then it all works out. I don't know. Spirits like to twist things.
No way, that's crazy. At which point he leans. Is that wolf that was there? Is it gone or is it still sitting there?
It's gone. It walked right back behind her and vanished after the shadows pulled away.
Yeah, he'll lean a little bit and look behind her and then come back. Yeah, spirits, they do weird things sometimes.
Yeah, and so do people, and so do Guru. So, well, I think we've got a good thing going, and I think we'll all be okay.
So, at that point, get up, start walking, continuing your hike. Jace, as you're walking through trees, hearing the crunch of the leaves underneath your feet, the crunch of leaves sounds so similar to the sound of a crunch of snow. You step foot into fresh fallen snow, the ice. As your mind thinks on that, you feel your feet get cold and wet. That feeling you can only get when snow has come into your boots after you've been hiking in the forest for so long. With that, our story comes to a close this evening, but not without two final scenes. Our first scene takes us to a location we've been before, a bedside table in the apartment of Aspen and Art. Aspen's phone buzzes. The same caller ID comes up, Suncella. Having not been answered, it goes to missed call. There are 4 missed calls. all from the same number. We transition now to a spectral winter. The trees are without leaves. Snow covers the ground. The strangest thing is the palm trees covered in snow. Hillsborough River frozen over. And that sound of crunching snow brings us to the attention of two hooves crunching through the snow. As we scroll up, we find a hulking, hairy body, claws at the end of long, muscular arms, and horns coming out of a demonic goat-like head. The shadows that stretch from the trees move with it as it marches forward towards the cairn of the Sept of the Evening Star. And this is where our story comes to a close. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you to everybody at home. Next week is our holiday episode entitled Rage Across Christmas. So come back and join us next Tuesday for that very, very special episode. And then after that, we'll be seeing what goes on with the Sept as some head to Virginia and some head into the belly of the beast to discuss with Bateman the next steps of the treaty. Make sure to tune in this Friday to an episode of Hellhounds, and there will probably be no episode the Friday after due to the holidays, but make sure to tune in this Friday to see what the Hellhounds get up to. For these amazing players, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a lovely evening, everybody.
So how with the path, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Rage Across Tampa is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, and Weiss. Visit our website at stpetbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become a part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.